What's up guys, it's WoofWoofWolffe. Welcome to a new series. Your first Jedi of the week is Master Plo Koon.
We're just clones, sir. We're meant to be expendable.
Not to me.
Plo Koon was born on the planet Doran. Its Doran gas and helium-rich environment meant that he was forced to rely on rebreathers, as oxygen was deadly to him. Considered level-headed and unflappably calm, Koon was among the wisest members of the Jedi Order. He was deeply concerned with every form of life. Plo Koon was one of the best pilots in the Jedi Order, and his skills were often praised by fellow Jedi. While on a mission to the planet Sheely, the homeworld of the Togruta, Koon found a 3-year-old girl named Ahsoka Tano. Koon brought Tano back to the Jedi Temple so she could be trained as a Jedi. By the time of the invasion of Naboo, Koon had achieved the rank of Jedi Master and was elevated to the Jedi High Council. After escaping Naboo and reaching Coruscant, Jin came before the Jedi Council and described a lightsaber duel he had on Tatooine with a Zabrak, whom Jin believed to be a Sith. Jin also presented Anakin Skywalker, a young slave he had freed on Tatooine, before the Jedi Council, stating that he believed him to be the chosen one. The boy had a high midichlorian count and a good grasp on the Force, but Koon, along with the rest of the council, was skeptical about the return of the Sith and denied Jin's wishes to train Skywalker due to his age. Following the death of Jin at the hands of the warrior Darth Maul, Koon traveled to the world along with most of the other Jedi Council members for Jin's funeral. The Jedi Council then decided to elevate Obi-Wan Kenobi to the rank of Jedi Knight and allowed him to take Skywalker as his Padawan in order to honor the dying wish of Master Jin. A decade after the blockade of Naboo, Koon continued to sit on the Jedi Council. The Galactic Republic was in turmoil, as thousands of star systems led by the charismatic former Jedi Master Count Dooku threatened to secede from the Republic. Following the attempted assassination of Senator Padme Amidala, Koon was one of the several Jedi who joined the Loyalist Committee in meeting with Supreme Chancellor Palpatine to discuss the crisis. Koon was later present when Obi-Wan Kenobi contacted the Jedi Temple and informed them that Count Dooku and several other corporate leaders of the Separatist movement were meeting on the world of Geonosis and were planning to start a war with the Republic by creating the Confederacy of Independent Systems. Kenobi was taken captive by the Separatists, and the Jedi began putting a plan together to rescue him and stop the movement before it triggered a galactic war. Koon was one of the 212 Jedi who formed an assault team to rescue Kenobi from Geonosis, along with his Padawan Anakin Skywalker and Padme Amidala, who had been captured attempting to free Kenobi. Koon and his fellow Jedi revealed themselves during their allies' attempted execution in the Geonosian arena. A battle soon erupted between the Jedi and the Geonosians, who were reinforced by a massive droid army. As the droids prepared to execute them, Koon and the other survivors were saved by the arrival of Yoda and the Clone Army, which had been secretly funded and created by the cloners of Kamino a decade before at the behest of Jedi Master Sifo Dyas. Koon and his fellow Jedi escaped the arena aboard several Republic attack gunships. The Jedi joined the clones in assaulting the droid army and Confederate vessels stationed on the planet. Although Koon and the Republic forces emerged victorious from Geonosis, the fight on Geonosis was only the first battle of the galactic conflict that became known as the Clone Wars. Now a Jedi General, Koon was given command of the 104th Battalion, also called the Wolf Pack, or Plo's Bros. In the early stages of the Clone War, Koon and Commander Wolffe led a fleet of 3 Venator-class Star Destroyers from his flagship Triumphant to the Abrigado system, where they tracked down a mysterious Separatist warship, the Malevolence, that had been destroying Republic fleets under the command of General Grievous. The Malevolence jammed Republic communications and fired its secret weapon, a giant ion cannon, that disabled all 3 of Plo Koon's vessels and left them vulnerable to attack. Koon ordered an evacuation as the Malevolence began destroying the ships, and escaped in an escape pod alongside Wolffe, Sinker, and Boost. As they waited for rescue, Plo Koon and his men worked to fix the damage to the pod, while searching the debris field for other survivors. Plo Koon led Sinker and Boost to defend their pod and instructed Wolffe to keep the signal alive. After a brief firefight, Skywalker and Tano arrived in the twilight and rescued Plo Koon and his men before escaping the system. With the nature of the Malevolence now revealed, the Jedi began making plans to destroy it. Plo Koon attended a briefing where Anakin Skywalker outlined his plan to use Shadow Squadron to fly past the defense of the massive vessel and destroy its bridge. In order to beat the Malevolence to the medical station, the Jedi and the clone pilots headed through a shortcut in the Kalita Nebula called the Balmorra Run. After losing half of Shadow Squadron during the initial blast from the Malevolence's ion cannon, Koon noted that they no longer had the firepower to take out the bridge of the enemy warship. Skywalker changed the plan and the group successfully damaged the main ion cannon, which malfunctioned and caused explosions across the Malevolence, disabling its hyperdrive, just as Kenobi's fleet arrived. Koon and the surviving members of Shadow Squadron docked with the medical station as Master Obi-Wan Kenobi pursued the crippled Separatist vessel with his task force. Although the enemy flagship was heavily damaged, it was still able to withstand the firepower of the present Republic forces. Koon suggested summoning reinforcements to help finish off the ship, but Skywalker informed him that the closest ships were Master Luminara Unduli's, which were currently engaged with a Separatist force and could not join them until they had been defeated. The Jedi were then forced to stop firing on the Malevolence when it captured the vessel of Naboo Senator Padme Amidala. Once Amidala was safely off the ship, Koon ordered the fleet to open fire once more. The Malevolence ended up destroying itself by crashing into a nearby moon after Skywalker sabotaged it by reprogramming the ship's navigation computer before escaping. Plo Koon took part in the evacuation of Felucia, where Separatist forces had trapped Republic forces led by Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, and Ahsoka Tano. As his fleet engaged the enemy vessels surrounding the jungle world, Koon led a group of starfighters to protect several gunships, aiding in the evacuation. He ordered his wingman Warthog to defend the gunships while he took out the Separatist fighters in their path. After Koon successfully saved Warthog from 2 Vulture droids, the transports landed and successfully evacuated Kenobi and Skywalker's soldiers. Koon then attended a Jedi Council hearing regarding Tano's reckless behavior during the battle. The Council decided to place her on guard duty at the Temple Archives to reflect on her actions and remove her from the battlefield. When Jedi Council member Eth Koss was captured by General Grievous, Master Koon attended a gathering of Jedi via hologram to view the message Grievous sent to the Jedi Order. Grievous vowed to destroy the Jedi and make Koth suffer before killing him. As the Jedi debated what to do, Koon was informed by Commander Wolffe that he had discovered a message in the recording from Koth. They replayed the message and the other Jedi noticed that Koth was using hand signals to give them the location of the Seleucami system. While Koon was giving a briefing in the Jedi Temple regarding reinforcing Republic positions along the Hydian Way to counter Grievous's forces, Anakin Skywalker's astromech droid R2-D2 burst in the conference room and knocked Koon's droid out of the way. Koon ordered R2 to give them the urgent message he was carrying, and R2 showed the gathered Jedi a message from Skywalker and Mace Windu, who were trapped in the wreckage of Windu's ship, the Endurance. Koon traveled immediately to Vancor with Ahsoka Tano and the Wolf Pack to rescue his fellow Jedi. The Jedi soon received a message from Boba and Aurra Sing. The bounty hunters revealed that they had taken 3 hostages: Admiral Killian, Commander Pons, and another clone officer from the Endurance. Windu wished to find and rescue the remaining hostages, but Koon told him that his presence would only further anger Fett. He volunteered to hunt down Fett and his accomplices with the aid of Tano. They investigated several bars and Tano was caught and attacked, overhearing that the bounty hunter Castus had been killed on Florum by Singh. Koon activated his lightsaber and the 2 Jedi slowly backed out of the bar before Tano distracted the patrons by tossing money into the crowd, allowing them to escape. Koon noted that was not very subtle but congratulated her on finding out the location of Singh. Traveling to Florum, Koon and Tano landed at the base of the notorious Weequay pirate Hondo Anaka. Koon entered the bar and sat at a table with Singh, while Fett came up behind him with a blaster and demanded to know where Windu was. Koon offered to settle things peacefully, but Singh contacted the Trandoshan bounty hunter Bosk and told him to execute the hostages if she gave the word. She was prepared to kill all of them to get Fett his revenge, but Koon noted that she seemed to want them dead more. Tano then struck off Singh's antenna, severing her link with Bosk, and held her lightsaber to Singh's throat. As Singh and Fett attempted to flee, Koon used the Force to pull Fett back to him while Tano pursued Singh. Koon began interrogating Fett about the location of the hostages with the aid of Onaka. Fett gave up the location of the hostages who were rescued by Tano. Fett and Bosk were taken into custody by Koon and taken to prisoner on Coruscant, while Singh was believed to be dead after she crashed in the Slave One. Following an assault on the Temple of Edith, Plo Koon joined fellow Jedi Council members Obi-Wan Kenobi, Adi Gallia, and Saesee Tiin in meeting the Clone Commando Delta Squad on a landing platform of the Jedi Temple. The Commandos brought with them the bodies of Jedi Master Halsey and Apprentice Nox, who had been brutally killed alongside their clone troopers defending the Temple of Edith. The 4 Masters debated who had the skill to so thoroughly defeat 2 Jedi. Koon suggested that this was potentially a new threat to the Jedi Order, and could perhaps be a new Sith Lord. When Master Evan Peel and members of his crew were captured by Separatist forces seeking the coordinates of the secret hyperspace lane known as the Nexus Route, Master Koon briefed the team that would be rescuing him from the dreaded Citadel. Following the briefing, Koon was approached by Tano, who was being kept off the mission by Skywalker. Koon noted that he had the ability to do so, As the strike team departed, Koon watched their vessel leave the Jedi Temple and wished that the Force would be with them. Unbeknownst to Koon, Tano had also been frozen in carbonite and arranged to go on the mission. As the strike team progressed through their mission, Koon monitored coded transmissions sent by them to the Jedi Temple. The team successfully freed Peel and his officers from their cells, but had to split up into two groups. Koon informed Masters Windu and Tin of the situation and their locations where the two groups were planning to be extracted. Windu questioned what would happen if their extraction failed, and Koon claimed that they would need an entire fleet to get the team free from the Citadel. Kenobi soon contacted the temple and informed Koon that while the two groups had rejoined, their shuttle had been destroyed, and they were now fleeing on foot from the Separatist garrison. Koon told them that they would be deploying a fleet to rescue the team from Lolo Soyu. Koon led a fleet to Lolo Soyu along with Jedi Masters Tin, Gallia, and Kit Fisto. En route to the planet, Koon ordered Tin to lead the fighter attack on the enemy fleet to create a hole in their defenses, through which Koon would escort gunships down to pick up the team. Gallia noted that if the team was not at the extraction point, Koon would have to leave them behind, or put the fleet at risk, but Koon was sure that they would be waiting for them. Koon's dropship reached the extraction point where they found the remaining members of the strike team and captives waiting. As they fled back to the fleet, Koon ordered Admiral Coburn to recall their fighters and prepared the fleet to jump to hyperspace. After safely landing aboard one of the ships, Koon gave the order for the fleet to leave the system. After returning to Coruscant, Koon and the surviving strike team members landed at the Jedi Temple. Koon and his fellow Jedi mourned the loss of Peel, and he noted that Peel's sacrifice secured the Nexus route for the Republic. However, Captain Tarkin, who had memorized one half of the coordinates, stated that he would only share them with Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, while Tano would only give her half to the Jedi Council. Yoda stated that he would speak with the Chancellor about the situation. As the other Jedis left, Skywalker asked Koon if he had assigned Tano to the mission. Koon covered for Tano by claiming that he had. Koon soon returned to Felucia alongside Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano to secure the planet for the Republic. They planned for an attack against an outpost on the planet that was receiving reinforcements from General Grievous. Watching from a nearby ridge, Koon planned to divide their forces into 3 groups to assault the base. Once all teams were in position, Koon ordered the attack to begin. As Skywalker assaulted the front gate, Koon leapt up the left wall of the base, followed by Commander Wolffe and his troopers on jetpacks. They quickly cut through enemy forces, with Koon and Skywalker's forces meeting in the middle with Tano's men. Tano was not with her men. She did not respond to calls over her comlink, having been captured by Trandoshan hunters. Koon and Skywalker's men searched the nearby jungle for Tano, but found no trace of her. Koon let all Republic forces throughout the Outer Rim, as well as spies within the Confederacy, know of Tano's disappearance, so that they would be alerted if anyone found her. He then noted that with their mission on Felucia over, he and Skywalker needed to return to Coruscant. Skywalker was unwilling to abandon the search for his Padawan, but Koon told him that his emotions were clouding his judgment, and that it was time for them to depart. After returning to the temple, Skywalker continued to oversee the search for his missing Padawan. Koon talked to him about how strong Tano was, and that her determination, which she shared with her master, would help her survive. He also cautioned that Skywalker might not be able to find Tano, but that she would use her training to make her own way back to the Jedi. Tano was returned to the Jedi Temple by the Wookiee General Tarful, and the bounty hunter Sugi, alongside 2 Jedi younglings, Jinx and Omer. Koon and Skywalker welcomed the 3 young Jedi back to the temple. Koon expressed his relief in seeing Tano safe. After Master Gallia was captured by General Grievous, Master Koon led a fleet to rescue her from Grievous's ship. Koon boarded the vessel with the Wolf Pack, and Commander Wolffe successfully freed Gallia while Grievous fled. Koon and Gallia reunited and were surprised by 2 droids, C-3PO and R2-D2. Wolffe recognized the 2 droids and confirmed their identity. C-3PO began talking about how he and his companion had just been on an adventure, which prompted Koon to suggest that they tell Wolffe all about it, much to his second-in-command's dismay. In order to find the missing Togruta colonists and to stop the re-emergence of the Zygerian slave empire, the Jedi Council sent Kenobi, Skywalker, Tano, and Clone Captain Rex to infiltrate the Zygerian homeworld Zygeria. Although they were exposed and enslaved, Skywalker and Tano managed to escape and let the Republic know that the colonists were being held at a slave processing facility on the planet Kadavo. Plo Koon led a small task force to the system to liberate the slaves, leading a group of fighters to cover his dropships and an Archidance-class light cruiser. Koon shot down several Zygerian fighter craft, while Anakin managed to destroy the towers, allowing the cruiser to move into position below the facility and rescue the slaves. Once all the slaves and Republic forces had been rescued, Koon ordered his gunships to destroy the slaving facility. When a plot was uncovered suggesting that the Separatists were going to try to kidnap or assassinate Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, the Jedi Council decided to fake Obi-Wan Kenobi's death so he could go undercover as Reiko Hardeen and get close to Moralo Eval, the plot's supposed mastermind. After the fake assassination occurred, Koon attended the funeral of his fellow council member. During the funeral, Ahsoka Tano expressed her concern to Koon about the behavior of her master, Anakin Skywalker, who was not aware of the council's plan. Koon and the rest of the council brought Skywalker and Tano in on the plot. They and most of the council put together a plan to stop the attempt and capture the conspirators. Following the bombing of one of the Jedi Temple's hangars, Koon and the council recalled Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano from the defense of Cato Neimoidia so they could investigate. Koon and the others were worried that a Jedi was responsible for the attack, and thus needed someone who had not been present at the temple. Koon then attended the funeral for the 6 Jedi killed in the bombing. Skywalker and Tano arrested Letta Terman for feeding her husband, a worker at the temple, nanodroids that turned him into a bomb. However, Tano herself was accused of being behind the bombing after Terman was choked to death by the Force while Tano was in her cell. She was arrested but soon escaped from the prison, with several clone troopers found killed by a lightsaber during her escape. The Jedi Council called an emergency meeting to discuss the situation. Admiral Tarkin was leading the Republic's military investigation of the incident and was pushing for Tano's capture and prosecution for the murder of the clone troopers. Koon refused to believe that Tano was responsible for the killing, but Tarkin dismissed his beliefs as irrelevant. Koon and Skywalker were both sent with teams of clones to search the lower levels of Coruscant where Tano had fled, to find and bring her back to the temple so the Jedi could discover the truth. As they arrived in the lower levels, Koon and Skywalker witnessed Tano with Ventress. Koon was soon contacted by Commander Wolffe, who reported to him that his team had found Tano, but she and Ventress had defeated them, albeit without any killing of clones. Skywalker and Wolffe later tracked down Tano again, this time successfully stunning her. In the warehouse where they found her, they discovered the same type of explosives used in the bombing of the Jedi Temple. As they transported her back to the temple, Koon reported to Yoda what they had discovered. The Jedi Council attempted to insist that they try Tano in accordance with Jedi tradition, but Tarkin and the Senate demanded that she be expelled from the Jedi Order and turned over to them for trial in a military court. The Council decided to oblige, although there was disagreement. Koon was one of the 5 council members present in the Chamber of Judgment, where Tano was formally expelled from the Order. Koon was also one of the several council members present during the proceedings and witnessed Skywalker arrive with Barriss Offee in custody, where she confessed that she was the one who masterminded the bombing and the framing of Tano. With Tano's name cleared, she was released by the Republic and returned to the Jedi Temple. Koon was one of the several council members who gathered to welcome Tano back. On the council's behalf, he offered their most humble apologies to Tano. However, Tano refused to accept their invitation to rejoin the Order. Koon watched mournfully as Tano left the council chamber and held Master Kenobi back from following Skywalker as he went after his former apprentice. He was deeply saddened when Tano chose to walk away from the only life she'd ever known. When a distress signal was picked up by the Jedi Temple from a ship belonging to the long-dead Jedi Master Sifo Dyas, Plo Koon was dispatched by the Jedi Council to locate the source. Tracking the signal to the desert moon of Obadiah, Plo Koon and the Wolfpack began searching for the vessel. After some difficulty with the sandstorm, they located the wreckage of a T-6 shuttle. Inside, Plo Koon discovered the lightsaber of Sifo Dyas and ordered his men to clear the area and take all of the wreckage back to Coruscant. He contacted the Jedi Council and informed them of his findings. Plo Koon holographically attended a briefing by Master Jocasta Nu as she explained how Sifo Dyas had perished on Felucia. Plo Koon then returned to Coruscant, where he met Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Anakin. The 4 Jedi discussed new evidence related to the mysterious presence of a second Jedi on Felucia and the missing Silman, an aide to the former Chancellor Valorum, who had accompanied Sifo Dyas on a mission to meet with the leaders of the Pike Syndicate. Obi-Wan and Anakin were dispatched to Obadiah, where they discovered that Silman was alive as a prisoner of the Pikes, but he was murdered by Count Dooku before he could tell them much. They did learn that Count Dooku was Darth Tyrannus and that he had been responsible for the creation of the clone army. Plo Koon and the other members of the council were disturbed by this revelation, but resolved to cover it up to prevent the Republic from losing faith in the loyalty of the clone army. Shortly after the Battle of Coruscant, Plo Koon helped secure a Republic victory at Cato Neimoidia. Following the battle, he was flying on a patrol flight, but was caught unaware when Darth Sidious initiated Order 66. Plo Koon was shot down by a clone pilot by the name of Captain Jag, perishing as his fighter exploded and crashed. Thank you so much for watching the first episode of Jedi of the Week. Next week is the first episode of Sith of the Week, so be sure to nominate your Sith of choice in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. This is WoofWoofWolffe, signing off, and as always, woof woof.